Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Moyinoluwa and I'm so excited once again to see you today. So how are you? Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about the difference between community management and social media management. Where do they align as a career path? What are their core differences? How can you get started in any of the two, right? And what tools do you need? What knowledge do you need? Everything is what we are going to be discussing in today's video. Trust me, you will find this very helpful because I've worked as both a social media manager and a community manager, and I know the nitty-gritty of these two parts. So let's just get straight into the video. First off, who is a social media manager and what does a social media manager do, right? A social media manager is pretty much somebody who is in charge of the company's social media accounts. So you are the one in charge of managing the content, creating content in some cases, posting, scheduling them, managing the comments, the responses, managing the community on social media. That's externally, right? So now it is the external people who relate with your company's profiles across board. So that can include Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. So any of the social media platforms that your company or an organization or an individual is present on. So part of your role as well includes analytics, evaluation, pretty much everything around social media management, social media profiles, social media content creation, scheduling, analytics, and all that. So as a social media manager, you expect your KPI to be the reach, the engagement, impression, things like view, right? Things like watch hours, things like conversion rates in terms of who is reaching out. Maybe you run ads. So social media management pretty much focuses on that external part. Now let's talk about community management. What exactly is community management? Let me paint a scenario for you. Assume you work in an organization that has members, right? So maybe a company that does financial education. So they have members, they have students that are actually in the community that they educate, right? So those people in that community are the people you are in charge of. They are internal now. They are not external on social media platform. You have them in your own enclosed community. Now, those are the people you are in charge of as a community manager. So your responsibility is to engage these community members, to retain them, to help them maximize the reason why they have joined that community in the first place. So you are involved in community building, engagement, entering their DMs, ensuring that they attend community events, community programs, everything community. If it involves renewal of subscriptions, you are in charge of, helping them to pay and remain in the community. So it's safe to say that social media management is you attending to guests on the stage, right? While community management is you attending to guests in the living room, right? So you have taken them from the stage, you've brought them into your house, into your community, and then you have to tend to them. So at what point does social media management and community management align, right? So the thing is, these two roles actually involves you relating with people. However, the difference is the how and the where. So these two roles actually involve you relating to people, engaging audience. However, the difference is the how, the where, and then the why, right? Because why are you engaging them? As a community manager, you are engaging them to retain them in the community, to help them maximize their membership, help them participate in the community events and all of those things. But as a community manager, your why is to ensure that they patronize you, right? They become your community members, if that's your goal, pretty much to engage with the audience and to keep representing the brand online. So for both roles, you need to understand the strategy to attract people and to retain people. Also, you need to have good communication skill as well as emotional intelligence, because you need it in engaging with people. So how do you know which role is exactly best for you? So I would say ask yourself questions like this. Does your interest lie in content creation, content scheduling, being on top of trends, jumping on trends and all of that? If your answer is yes, then social media management may be a best fit for you. But if you are someone who is more drawn to people, you like to engage people one-on-one, you like to plan events, you like to bring people on board to attend events, you like to pretty much network and build relationships, then community management is the best for you. In my case, for example, I started out as a social media manager, right? I was managing some pages. However, over time, I got bored because I preferred relating with people than just planning and creating content and, just doing all of this. And that led me to do more research on people management, and that was how I stumbled on community management. And honestly, this has helped me to expand my network and even grow my relationships deeper and meet top level executives across different sectors and industries. Another thing that I considered in my case was that I like to plan events, I like to manage events, activities, I like to host events, right? So I like to talk, I love to communicate with people actually. And this was one of the things that I find very interesting about community management, because it helps me to do this effortlessly, you know. Now the truth is, I didn't just start one day like I told you, but over time I nurtured my interest and I kept on evolving, right? So part of the things that I learned as a social media manager were still very, very useful for me when I started out as a community manager. So if you are looking to become a social media manager, some of these tools are what you need to know. You need to understand basic design concepts, right? You need to know how to create content, like maximizing your creative ability, scheduling content, planning. So you need to learn all of the scheduling tools. You know, you need to learn content creation tools like CapCut, video editing tools. You need to learn design tools like Canva. You need to understand MetaSuite, right? You need to understand each social media platform and their different requirements. You need to know how to use Hootsuite, Buffer. All of these different scheduling tools are pretty much what you need to know. Also, you need to have a thorough understanding of analytics, right? Because it's not just for you to churn out content, also measuring and evaluating to see what's working and what you need to improve on. Very, very important. If you are looking to become a community manager, you really need to understand how to communicate with people, either written communication or verbal communication. You need to understand that very well. You need to also know how to plan events, schedule events. You also need to understand engagement strategy such that people are, definitely going to respond to you based off of what you do in terms of engagement, right? Very important. You need to also understand people, have people skill, know how to onboard people, how to speak to people. You need to understand psychography of your audience, people in your community, because this will help you know how to engage them best. So product knowledge, like understand thoroughly what your community is trying to solve, and then understand how to take feedbacks and also retweak and rework your processes. Whether you choose to become a community manager or a social media manager, honestly, I've tried these two roles and I can tell you they are very interesting parts, right? And one can lead to the other, whichever way it works. If you are confused on any of these career paths and you would like to have a one-on-one session to discuss which one is best for you, or you're already working either as a community manager or a social media manager and you need clarity on how to better engage your community, your audience, please feel free to drop a comment below and I'll reach out to you. You can also reach out to me on Instagram or any of my contact details in the description. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please join this growing family, and trust me, you'll be glad you did. I'm rooting for you and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.